Clifford. First question, Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, obviously they're a great offensive team and great passing the basketball. When you have a team like that that's so efficient passing the basketball, what are some of the defensive principles and some of the ways to get them out of their rhythm?
Well, I think the toughest thing about it is they're so unique because, their primary playmaker is their center. And, one of the basic, tenets of defending against a great passing team is ball pressure. And so when you're playing against teams that are like, say, college teams that run the flex or just moving the old Princeton teams, you could have perimeter players get up and pressure the ball. And, your deflection numbers, for instance, would be a key part of that team. With Jokic, the hard thing is, he's going to be defended by centers, who aren't as used to doing that defensively. So it makes it more difficult. The other part is they have so much shooting on the floor that most of their cuts to the basket, you can't help with men at the bottom of the court. Everybody you'd call it in the NBA kind of like low man awareness. Against most teams, when they cut from the top and say he has the ball up in the middle, the guy can try to block the cut, but you can also have the guys on the baseline try to help. Well, with them, they've got so much shooting on the floor. I think they're top 10 in three-point shooting percentage, but he's going to find those open guys. So a lot of the cuts that you have to take away with them, they have to do it one-on-one, and it's not something you have to do every night in our league.
Mark Medina, USA Today.
Hey, Steve. Good to see you as always.
See you, Mark.
I got a random one here that I'm just asking different folks.
I have a lot of random answers, brother. Go ahead.
There you go. Okay, when it comes to fans, do you have any, of all your years of coaching, do you have any favorite memory with them, whether it was like a fan interaction or fan atmosphere in a specific game? And if so, what was that moment?
I mean, for me, it's obviously different. I would say this: when I was an advanced scout, for the Knicks, this would have been 21 years ago. My favorite places to go back then were Indiana, and that was, Indiana was Reggie Miller, those teams. I used to love it up in I think they still do it, actually. I don't look at it said they used to put the sign in 49 states, it's just basketball, but this is Indiana, and the fans would go crazy. And to be honest, the other place I used to love to go was Portland. Their fans are great, and that was the old oh man, you guys remember Sabonis, Steve Smith, Stoudemire, Derek Anderson, Bonzi Wells. They were terrific. They lost the 7-game series that year, I believe, to the Lakers. And in terms of atmosphere and environment, those would have been my two favorite back then. I still think this. I mean, maybe it's because I'm from the Northeast. With all the places I've been, though, I think the players still, even though the Knicks haven't been as good, I think it's always different to play in the Garden for most guys. I think it's New York. The fans are different, and you usually feel a different energy level, to me, even in the locker room before those games.
With all those teams that you mentioned, are there any most memorable fan stories with that?
Not really. I don't. I've never really had much interaction with any fans, so yeah. I'm sorry I can't help you out with that.
I really appreciate you.
Roy Perry, Orlando Sentinel.
Steve, I don't know if you caught Stephen Silas's press conference last night, but just you could tell through his mask, even though he was smiling, that they got that victory. I wonder, did you reach out to him or talk to him before the game or after the game, and maybe what was sort of your message to him after they got that win last night?
We texted this morning. He and I, we talk regularly, and so we've been talking regularly, and that was a great win for them, and super happy for him. He's a terrific coach. Obviously, they've been in a brutal situation. And, you know, their guys have been playing hard, and they finally got some guys back healthy. And with their whole team, you know what, they'll be a lot more competitive. But to go through that any year as a coach is difficult, you know, but to have to do it, and he's been around the NBA for a long time, but, you know, you learn the league, but there are definitely different, you know, it's a different dynamic when you have a team that's challenged and you're the head coach. And so we've been corresponding and talking a lot.
Chris Cuff, 24 Flicks.
Hey, Coach, just a quick question. I see Terrence is still on the injury list. How far do you think he's out with that bruised knee?
Yeah, I think Chris, he's very close. Maybe even tomorrow night, to be honest. I mean, he badly wants to play. It's just with the nature of it. You know, it's also one of those things that if he comes back before he feels good, you know, it could be, we don't want it to be one of those come back and then miss 2 weeks, you know. So we're trying to be careful. I think there's a chance tomorrow night. And the same with Chasen. I think he might be able to be back tomorrow night also.
Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, when you look at Michael Malone, obviously you coached with his father. What elements of his
I know Dan's having trouble. Any other questions? Okay, I think we'll let it go. Sorry, Dan. Thanks, everybody.
father do you see in him?
Dan, you cut out. You're going to have to repeat that question.
No, I can answer. I'm pretty sure I know what you said. You're just asking, like, how is Michael similar to Coach Malone?
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I worked with Michael with the Knicks, too. We were assistants together under Jeff and under Don Chaney. Look, Michael and I, this is crazy. This is how long, you know, Coach Malone's very much a mentor to me. You guys know that. And I got to know Michael because when he was like, I'm going to say 5th, 6th, 7th grade, I used to work Coach Malone's camp, and he would always put Michael on my team. And Coach Malone would come, you know, I was like a freshman, sophomore in college, and he was great because he would come. He knew I wanted to be a coach, and you know, he would come and help me after the game. You know, think about doing this. You could have done that, and it was one of the things that started, you know, our relationship. But you know, look, Coach Malone is the ultimate. He's a coach's coach, you know, and I think Michael, grown up in a coaching family where basketball was a centerpiece of how they lived. When they were at Coach Malone's camp, it was everybody. It'd be Michael, it'd be his brothers, you know, Kevin, Brendan Jr., Kelly, his sister, his mom, Mrs. Malone, she'd be there. So, I mean, like, you know, he grew up in a basketball environment, and, you know, Michael, so I've known Michael for a long, we laugh sometimes at the meetings. I mean, I liked it because he was always on my team and he was usually the best player, so we were good. But Michael was a competitor now. I mean, he was and he was a good little player. Then actually, when I was an assistant at Siena, Michael was the point guard at Loyola Baltimore. I mean, he had a very good college career also.
Any final questions? Okay, thanks, everyone.